In the busy streets of old Baghdad, the air was full of delicious smells. Vendors called out to customers, the sound of sizzling meat filled the alleys, and smoke rose into the morning sky. A poor man walked slowly through the street. He had not eaten for days. He stopped near a kebab stall, closed his eyes, and breathed deeply. The smell of the cooking meat made him smile. It was the only meal he could afford, its fragrance. The kebab seller noticed him and frowned. "Hey you," he shouted. "You've been sitting there enjoying my kebabs for half an hour. Do you think that's free?" The poor man opened his eyes in shock. "Sir, I only smelled it. I didn't eat anything." But the vendor was stubborn. "Smelling it is the same as eating it. You enjoyed my work, now pay for it." The poor man tried to explain, but the seller grabbed his arm and said, "Come with me. We'll go to Behlol. Let him decide what justice means." They walked through the streets until they found Behlol sitting calmly under a fig tree, a crowd always nearby. His cracked bowl lay beside him, and his kind eyes looked up as they approached. The vendor shouted, "Oh, Behlol, you are wise, judge between us. This man has been stealing from me with his nose." Behlol smiled. "Stealing with his nose? That is new. Tell me what happened." The vendor repeated the story proudly. When he finished, Behlol nodded and said, "So you want payment for the smell of your kebabs?" "Yes," said the vendor. "That is justice." Behlol looked thoughtful. Then he reached into his pocket and took out a few coins. He shook them in his hand so they made a clear, ringing sound. Clink, clink, clink. Everyone stood silently. Then Behlol put the coins back into his pocket and said, "There, the sound of money has paid for the smell of kebabs." The crowd burst into laughter. The poor man smiled for the first time in days. The vendor turned red with shame. Behlol stood and said gently, "Greed deserves only the echo of generosity. When you trade kindness for coins, you lose the heart of your work." The vendor said nothing and walked away. Behlol turned to the poor man and said, "Go in peace, my friend. The world still owes you a meal, but not a price for its scent." The man thanked him and left with tears in his eyes, whispering a prayer for the wise fool of Baghdad. Behlol looked after him and laughed softly. "To some I am mad," he said, "but to others I am just the mirror they refuse to look into."